So you're live. Hi everyone, welcome to this Thursday live stream. We had some technical issues yesterday. I wasn't able to unmute Brandt in the meeting in the live session. Therefore, we tried again today. Welcome to our live session of our group, Friendship Skills 4.0 for this digital age. Thanks for joining our session today or watching the video afterwards. And feel free to comment your question anytime because then we can answer them right away during this live session. And please share and like our video. Our topic of the week is how to communicate effectively with our partner. In this live session, I really happy that I have a guest. Please welcome our co-host, Brandt Cothren. Welcome, Brandt.
Hello, hello. Glad to be here.
How are you doing? How are you going?
I am doing very well. It's a great day.
Besides the disaster yesterday, but thank you for trying it with me again today.
Happy to do it, man.
We would love to get to know you a bit better. Brandt, please tell our group, what's your name, where you from, and what are you doing for your living?
Well, my name is Brandt Cothren. I'm originally from my mother, but I've lived, born and raised in the greatest country in the United States. That is, of course, the great state of Texas. It's a Texas thing. Yes, we're all really that proud. Um, but yeah, and so I'm a life and relationship coach. But I really have a passion for, the relationship side of things because, you know, I, I, uh, I lived in some bad relationships for a very
Mhm.
long time, and the one I'm in now is absolutely amazing. It is night and day difference, and I've seen the truth of what relationships are supposed to be. So it's my
Mhm.
passion to help the world try to experience their own version of that.
Well, that sounds really great, Brandt. Often there are a lot of different definitions for things. Therefore, just to clear things up for this session, out of your perspective, what's life coaching about, and how do you define exactly your area of expertise?
Well, life coaching in general is just helping someone see the things that they already know, but for whatever reason can't see or admit to. It's all
Mhm.
about, for me anyway, it's all about speaking truth and helping whoever I'm working with see their own truth.
Mhm.
And we do that just by talking, having a conversation, and asking a few questions and
Mhm.
sharing a few truths. As far as specifically for relationship coaching, like I
Mhm.
said, um, for 25 years, I believed all of the stuff that people said about relationships, about
Mhm.
they're supposed to be hard, fights are good, there's going to
Right.
be tough times, and don't go to bed angry, and all that good stuff that we've all heard as good relationship advice.
Mhm.
And I've found that none of it worked. All it did was lead to more fights and
Yeah.
arguments, a lot of stress and uh, heartache.
Mhm.
And I don't do that anymore. And I've found the secrets to how to have a happy, healthy,
Right.
successful relationship for a lifetime. It's not just, oh yeah, 5, 10, 15 years, and then it all turns to crap. This is the lifetime thing that I've found, and the
Mhm.
secrets that I'm happy to share.
In Germany, you always have this saying, the bad 7 year of relationship where most couples break up. Yes, we even have some live visitors. Hi Ian, hi Hermia, for joining our stream. Amazing Brand. Happy relationship are the most important. Otherwise, it's really a direct impact on our emotional well-being. So if I fight at home, I won't go happy to work. It's a
Exactly.
basic thing. A very important topic for our community, I think. How you told that you were in had too much bad relationship advices yourself. Was that the reason why you started life coaching? And for how long have you been a life coach, Brand?
Well, my journey to becoming a coach is rather interesting. Back in 2018,
Mhm.
I was able to finally attend a Tony Robbins Unleash the Power Within.
Okay.
When I grew up as a kid, I remember watching Tony Robbins personal power uh, videos, infomercials late night
Mhm.
before the television went off the air, if you're old enough to remember when that happened. And of course, everything back then was on VHS and
Mhm.
cassette audio tape. So it's been a minute. And I always said if I had a chance to go see that guy, I needed to take it.
Life.
And so in 2018, I finally had an opportunity. I went to Chicago. I had a bunch of friends up there, and it was wild.
Life changing.
Definitely an experience. And for those that have been to a UPW, and you know exactly what I'm talking about. For those that haven't, if you get a chance, please definitely go. It's worth the money, I promise.
Mhm.
Um, and then, getting out of UPW, I was looking for the next step.
Mhm.
And I got into a mastermind program that covered the book Think and Grow Rich. And it
Mhm.
was like a 16-week program. We basically went a chapter a week. And just the girl that facilitated that program, just seeing the way that she showed up in our
Mhm.
group calls every week. I mean, she was happy, she was bubbly. It was one of those you could just feel the energy from
Wow.
her of her living the dream, doing exactly what she wanted, helping
Mhm.
people, making money, but at the same time doing it all from home and not having to worry about a corporate job or, her
Mhm.
commute was from the bedroom to the home office. So that was really inspiring
Mhm.
to me. And I'm like, that's exactly what I want to do. So I started researching, I asked questions
Mhm.
about what is this thing that you do? What do you call it? And how do I get started? And it's like, oh, well, we call it coaching. And to get started, all you got to do is just say you're a coach. And in the beginning, I was like, I can't do that. So I searched and found a training program.
Mhm.
And over the course of the training program, I realized coaching is something I've done all of my life, you know, um, and it's not just me; it's a familial thing.
Mhm.
My mother, my grandmother, even my great grandmother, as far back as I can remember, my dad too. Everybody's always been the person that everybody came to
Talk
for
to.
help and advice when they were having a really tough time. And, you know, even like I said, all the way back to
Mhm.
me in high school and junior high school, my friends would tell me about things, and I'm like, well, what if you thought about it from this perspective? And it
Mhm.
was all about just shifting the way we thought about things. And usually, most everybody would go, oh, wow. And that's the essence of coaching is just asking a
Mhm.
few questions and getting people to shift their perspective. And so
Right.
I realized that that's something I've always done. And I'm like, okay, well, then this is definitely where I'm supposed to be. And then, like I said, with my own experiences in
Mhm.
relationships, um, I'm actually in my third marriage. My first marriage was a complete screw up, totally thinking with the wrong body parts.
Mhm.
I was young and stupid. Um, got out of that one and went straight into my second one, and that one lasted 20 years. And that was, living all of those things that we were always told that about relationships. And finally,
Mhm.
I couldn't take it anymore. And I had to go start finding stuff for me.
Mhm.
And I learned how to love myself. I actually did some self coaching on that, really learned how to love me and
Mhm.
accept me and realized that I wasn't as bad of a guy as I thought I was before. And, that changed my entire world. It's like nothing
Mhm.
externally changed, but you know how it is when you change that internal thought process, it's like your whole world looks different.
Oh.
Everything smells different, tastes different, looks different. It's amazing the way that happens. And so I got to a place where I was really, really happy. And being that happy
Mhm.
attracted my current wife to me. And since we've been together, it's just been absolute bliss. I mean, it's pure harmony. There's
Mhm.
been zero fights in 5 years of us being together. And I know that doesn't sound like a lot, but like I said, I was married for 20 years before. I understand the difference in
Between.
how things are with my current wife as how things were with my
Mhm.
ex-wife. and my wife, she's been through some stuff herself. So it's not like, yes, a lot of people see 5 years and go, yeah, that's, you don't even have a clue yet. No, I do. Trust me. I've already been through a
Mhm.
lot of life. And so, like I said, it's just real. I'm really passionate about sharing what I've learned and
Mhm.
helping everyone see and feel that a relationship with another person, a deep, intimate
Mhm.
relationship, is supposed to be really easy, man.
Mhm. That's the fun part is in I don't know if it stays the same in your country. In Germany, there's a saying: if you turn older, as older you get, as more difficult it is to have a good relationship, to start a relationship, because people get more more close-headed and sticking to their way how they do things, and therefore it's harder for them to open up to a partner. In this case, um, I would have expected that your third relationship would be harder than the second one, but if you tell the third one is just loving, and I always see your post and picture as well on Facebook, it looks like like you're very caring couple. So I totally believe you that you know the difference between your second and your third marriage. Hey,
And
thanks for sharing this.
and you're right about, most people believe that the longer things go, the harder it gets.
Hmm.
Because both men and women are guilty of saying, well, I guess all the good ones are gone.
Hmm.
It's the older we get and the more we have failed relationships, the more that we
Hmm.
think it's just too difficult. I might as well give up and
Oh.
be a cat person or a dog person or whatever, or a fish person, whatever your
Hmm.
favorite animal is, and just live alone with your animals, and that'd be the end of it.
Hmm.
But what I've found is, and this, again, this is why I'm really passionate about this.
Hmm.
It doesn't have to be that way.
Oh.
It's really the first principle, and this is what I teach everyone. And I think you've even heard me say this on many occasions. When you finally really learn to love yourself, to let go of all that bullshit that you thought
Hmm.
you had to believe or had to know or had to do, when you just get down and start loving yourself the way that you want someone else to love you, that's when life gets really, to use an Abraham
Hmm.
Hicks word, delicious. Doesn't just get sweeter, it gets
Oh.
absolutely delicious. And in that deliciousness is where you're going to meet and find the person that you can have this
Hmm.
effortless relationship with.
So when they change your inner self, how you think about stuff, and then it's if you don't. I was I heard a quote which says, "If you don't love yourself, why should anybody else love you?"
Right.
So that's a thing. Yeah, if I can't look in the mirror without not liking me, then yeah, it's hard to find a partner accepting it. Brandt,
Exactly.
could you please share your Facebook page and your group in the comments after our sessions, that people can connect with you if they want to get more into the topic? Would be great
Absolutely.
if you put the stuff in the comments, that our viewers can find a way to connect with you as well on Facebook.
Absolutely.
Our topic of the week is how to communicate effectively with our partner. What do you think is effective?
Well, the first part is realizing that men and women communicate differently,
Mhm.
you know. And if you remember the old Tim Allen show, Home Improvement, he always went, and was doing the grunts and everything. That was a big part of his comedy routine. And it's
Mhm.
funny because two guys can look at each other and go, and the
Uh,
other one will say, and we know exactly what we just said to each other.
mhm.
We just spoke the equivalent of war and peace, and we know exactly what's going on, and women look at us and go, the hell are those two idiots talking about? It's we fundamentally, it's just how we're wired. We are going to communicate differently. And so when we decide that we're going to get into a relationship, we have to understand that we can both say the exact same words, but we're probably going to mean something a little bit different when we say that.
Mhm.
And so the first part of really effective communication is understanding that and knowing that sometimes you're going to have to work through some clarity issues first.
Mhm. And how do you get this clarification during the conversation? Do you just ask back, or how do you use this knowledge?
Well, and this is, one of those myths of belief that I love to dispel is
Mhm.
people think when they get in a relationship, well, that's my partner, they should just know me, I don't have to explain all that.
Oh.
But I tell people all the time, unless you've had a deep conversation about that particular subject,
Mhm.
then your partner has no clue what you're talking about. So you've got to have those deep conversations.
Mhm.
If I say I'm going to the store and I say that to a guy, he's going to be like, okay, bye. He doesn't care why I'm going to the store or what I'm going to pick
Mhm.
up or what I'm going to do while I'm there. Or maybe, but a woman's going to say, well, what are you getting? What are you going for? Are you stopping anywhere on the way? Are you getting a
Mhm.
drink while you're out? There's going to be other questions. And so
Mhm.
you have to understand that, again, that's hardwired into our DNA about the way that
Mhm.
we communicate. So yes, get clarification.
Mhm.
And this is why I talk about you got to be able to love yourself first. All right. If you don't love yourself and you can't accept that your partner's going to want or need clarification,
Mhm.
then when they go, but why? You're going to get all upset and it's going to turn into a fight. And then
Mhm.
there's no effective communication.
Ah.
So the loving yourself gives you the ability to be open and honest, both with yourself and with your partner. So when they ask those questions of, as a guy, when you get those 20 questions of, I'm just going to the store, and she wants to know what you're getting, which way you're going. Are you going to stop over here? Are you going to do this while you're at?
Mhm.
I'm not going to get upset about that because I know that that's just the way she communicates.
Yes.
And she's just getting clarity so she can understand that I'm going to the store. Now, yes, I said this much and it takes her this much.
Mhm.
But again, I don't hold that against her because I know she's just curious.
And also she could think about combining things, because if you pass this way, you could pick something up for her because you don't know why she asked the question.
Right. She may have something that she also needs to do or,
Mhm.
needs to run to town for. And if I can do that for her while I'm out, it would
Oh.
help her tremendously. And so,
Mhm.
again, that's what we're talking about is having that open, honest discussion
Mhm.
without judgment.
Mhm. And after a while, if you know each other better, then you know your routines, then it's getting easier. You don't have to discuss the topic every time, but at least once to get a deeper understanding of each other.
Well, and that's something else,
Oh.
even though my wife, Sarah, and I have been together for 5 years now,
Mhm.
and we have a connection like I've never seen or experienced in anyone around me. It's totally different. We
Mhm.
are completely connected in so many ways. But even after 5 years, with as deep a connection as we have, we still have those conversations.
Mhm.
Not because necessarily we have to, but because we always want that line of communication to be open, to
Mhm.
be flowing effortlessly between us. It's
Mhm.
got to go back and forth. And if we can talk about the stupid, everyday, ridiculous bullshit, like I'm going to the store, and not get in an argument about it and just
Mhm.
enjoy the conversation, then we can talk about the really
Oh.
big stuff that's really important and really makes a difference.
Mhm. I do get your approach, I think. Uh, um, it's clear for me from your side, because if I know that she asked her question out of a reason, I can just answer them. But how do you do the opposite? So because if she asks something and you want to clarify things, that she doesn't feel like she's in a how do you call it? in when the police ask a lot of questions, is that she doesn't feel like she's in interrogation?
Well, and again, it's from that place of no judgment.
Hmm.
And this is again why I talk about the self-love first
Hmm.
as the most important thing to a relationship. A lot of people say communication's the most important thing, and it's vital, but it's the second most important thing to me. Loving yourself gives you the freedom to be open and honest,
Hmm.
okay? And to understand that love does not have any judgments.
Hmm.
I mean, we say all the time that love is supposed to be unconditional. Love is absolutely unconditional. It is an energy and an essence. A lot of people talk about, well, I got to fill up my own cup. Well, that's a crap idea as well, because a cup is a highly conditional object, and you can't
Hmm.
put an unconditional thought or idea into a conditional object. It doesn't work. So, coming from a place of pure love, which you got to know that intimately within yourself first,
Hmm.
when you're at that place where you don't judge anything, you just allow it to be.
Hmm.
I can allow my wife to ask me 20 questions
Hmm.
because I understand I don't judge her for it. I'm simply allowing her to be herself and understanding that she communicates different than me.
Hmm.
So she's going to ask a lot of questions, and it may go around in a few circles.
Hmm.
But if I'm not holding that against her,
Hmm.
if I'm not seeing it as an imposition or a personal attack, then there's no judgment about it. And I can just listen to her and answer the
Hmm.
questions.
But how does it work if you feel the poor love for yourself, but your partner doesn't feel it for herself in that case? So if you start asking questions to her to clarify things, what would you suggest somebody who gets into the fight that she certainly starts asking, why are you asking all the questions for about it? Don't you trust me? Because often I could imagine if my girlfriend says something and I start asking back about what she's doing, that she might feel like it's a trust issue. That's the reason why I asked a lot of questions. How do you handle a partner who has problems to an open communication?
Excellent question. And again, that comes from, you know, a place of no judgment.
Hmm.
It's and you, I mean, we've all experienced those times when we're asking a question and we're like driving for a point
Hmm.
versus just asking questions. And when you think about it in terms, when you've got, when you're sitting with your best friend and they want to know what's going on, they're going to ask you 1,000 questions.
Hmm.
And you're going to be like, yeah, you're just going to answer them. And it's no big deal.
Hmm.
You don't take offense at your best friend asking questions.
Hmm.
All right. So when you're asking a partner who doesn't yet love themselves, at
Hmm.
least on that deep level, like maybe you do, and you start asking questions and they start getting upset, they start getting agitated, you can sense that.
Hmm.
And it's take charge of the conversation at that point and say, look, I can tell that you're getting upset.
Hmm.
I'm not doubting you. I'm just trying to clarify and understand. I
Hmm.
want to make sure that our communication is always open and honest. And I don't understand what you're saying right now.
Hmm.
I'm trying to understand what you're saying. And then you go from there. If
Hmm.
it's like, well, if say your girlfriend comes back and she's still not, you know, she's still not understanding you, and it's you can tell it's leading to a fight, you can just, okay, well, we'll talk about this later.
Oh.
And which is another one of those things, especially in communication,
Hmm.
don't go to bed angry is the relationship advice that we've all heard for all of our lives. And that's such a load of horse shit. Because if you can't have a rational, calm conversation,
Hmm.
then you just need to stop it and go, let's talk about this later.
Postpone it. Hmm.
And if that means it's already escalated way up here,
Mhm.
that means you got to go, I want to stop this right now because we're starting to get really upset with each other.
Mhm.
I don't want to fight with you.
Oh.
Can we table this conversation for another time when we're both calmer and clearer?
Mhm.
And then if you have to, you completely walk away from each other.
That's that's really really great advice, because I also in Germany they also tell you shouldn't go angry to bed. That yeah, but it makes no sense, as you did. If I just argue with somebody and it's heating up, there's not a bucket of water I can just toss at each other to calm down instantly. Gets it, man. That's a really great advice. Mm,
The caveat to that is, back to the loving yourself.
mhm,
For me, it always comes back to the book, The Four Agreements, which
mhm,
agreement two is don't take anything personally.
mhm,
So if you're on the receiving end of, the interrogation, don't take it personally. It's not a
mhm,
personal attack. It's not that your partner doesn't trust you. It's that they don't understand what you said.
mhm,
And when you come from that place of just peace and calm and not taking what she's saying personally, even if she's screaming at you and it's because it was your fault, you know, I know that sounds ridiculous, but
mhm,
when you forget to take out the trash and she's very upset about it, you don't take it personal. Because
mhm.
yes, she's upset about you, but she's more upset about the trash not being taken out. I mean, if that makes sense, you know what
Yeah.
I'm saying? And so it's the things that she's saying is frustration.
Mhm,
And if you accept that it's frustration and not necessarily frustration with you, then you can not get upset while you're being screamed at. Yes, it takes some work to get there. But
mhm.
again, people say relationships are hard work, but they're not. The hard work is in here,
Right. Mhm,
is being able to have that discussion where you're not taking it personally.
mhm.
That is the secret to effective communication, is to understand that if your partner's upset, even if they're screaming at you, they may have just had a bad day at work
Mhm,
and they need to unload. And part of being a partner in a relationship is providing the space for your partner to be able to have that emotional outburst.
mhm.
Now, as you both grow together and learn more about yourselves and each other, you're going to have less episodes of that. You're going to know that there's healthier ways to let
Mhm.
go of the emotions. But in the beginning, when it's an argument and you're in the middle of it, don't take it personal. I know
Mhm.
that sounds really tough to do, but it's just
Yeah.
coming from the place of pure love and understanding and knowing
Oh,
that, okay, something's wrong. I'm not sure what it is. It may be because I forgot to do something, but it may not be. So let me just
oh.
allow her to get the emotions out
Mhm.
and then try to have a rational discussion.
It's a mindset thing. So even if I feel like it's not my fault, so I feel unjustified that I get the argument in the moment, I still should let her unload her thoughts, her emotions, to have a good conversation later on. Oh,
And especially when we're talking about for the guys.
oh,
We guys are very logical creatures by nature. Again, this is our DNA. We typically don't understand women because they're emotional creatures.
mhm,
And it's not that one is better than the other. It takes both of us to live a successful, happy life.
mhm.
But when we accept that women are emotional creatures, we can allow them to be emotional
Emotionally.
and get to the place where they unload that emotion because it
Mhm,
allows them to come down. And I'm telling you, especially for the guys out there, when you provide a space for your female partner to unload their
mhm,
emotions, they're going to love you to the end of time. because it's a safe space where they know they can let go, they can be themselves and not really worry about if you're judging them, if you're going to snap back at them. You're just going to stand there. Now, again, as you go on in the relationship, you learn that there's healthier ways to unload emotions. And I tell people, usually if somebody's pissing you off, put their picture on a punching bag and just go to town unloading that emotion. It's a wonderful tactic. And it's very healthy, believe it or not. But yeah, in the meantime, if you're in the relationship and there's a screaming match going on, don't be a participant. Just allow it to happen. Understand that it may or may not be about you. And if it's about you, you can talk about it once the rage is over with.
In that case, give her the space to calm down, and then you can pick up another conversation afterwards.
Right.
Great point, great advices. Thank you for that so far, Brandt. I think let's have a look into some of the comments of our group. There are some amazing thoughts. I picked a few of them and shortened them to fit them to the banner. I'm activating one of them. I like Mama Teresa's comment. She wrote, understanding your spouse is the most important thing in every relationship. Without that, there's no relationship. Always learn to listen before you speak. Give room for the other to explain themselves. And that's the way to go, Brandt? Would you say? What would you add?
Well, the listening is a large part of it. And there's a difference in the way we listen. Most people nowadays listen to respond. I mean, in this interview, I'm listening to what's being said so that I can respond to specifically to it. With my wife, I'm not going to do that. There's a different way of listening that I use with my wife, and that's listening to understand. Again, she and I communicate differently than each other, so there's a level of understanding that I have to even be in a conversation with her. And then to really feel and get what she's saying, I have to listen to understand at a much deeper level. And so I'm not listening to clap back at her immediately, with what I want to get across. It's I'm listening for genuine pain, hurt, fears, whatever's in what she's saying, especially if it feels like it's starting off as an argument. Like I said, it's the frustration underlying that's the cause of all that. And it could be something as simple as you forgot to take out the damn trash. I mean, as simple as that can turn into huge arguments. And if we're being honest with ourselves and our partners, 99% of the arguments we have are over some really little bullshit.
Thanks.
And it's just frustration. It's raw emotion. And so if we listen to understand what our partner is saying, it usually boils down to some sort of frustration or fear. And if we truly learn to listen for that, to fully understand their feelings on that, then we can step back and go, you know what? You're absolutely right. I would feel the same way. Like in your example, if it feels like an interrogation and you're listening to understand and you go, sweetheart, look, I know that it's starting to feel like it's a lack of trust, but I'm truly just trying to understand you. That usually brings things way down.
I can imagine if you start acting like that her overall frustration level will shrink, and these types of arguments will get less and less anyway. So if she is relaxed with you in the relationship, that there will be less arguments like that and less need to clarify things after a while.
Actually, it goes further. If she is relaxed with you, and fellas, That is absolutely our job in the relationship as protector and provider, is to get her to a place where she can be relaxed.
Mm-hmm.
And if you provide that for her, she will relax. And that brings her stress level down monumentally to begin with.
Mm-hmm.
And because she's relaxed, she will treat you like the king, I promise.
So it's something in force as well. So good, good to try it at least. Even I think even having less arguments might be something very achievable for a lot of people in a relationship. Because if I look at my relationships, we had a lot of fights because of little things as well. So
And most of those little things were just misunderstandings.
uh, uh,
It's because you
and
didn't ask the extra questions to get that clarity and to truly understand what your partner's saying. So, like I
mhm,
said, when you take it to that step,
mhm,
it just alleviates so much.
mhm.
I mean, again, 5 years, zero fights.
That's amazing. In conversion, I haven't had that. I can't tell that I can compete with that. Let's jump to the next comment. Christian Cairo wrote, I create a space where we can share our thoughts without any kind of judgment. Any, not aren't kind, any kind of judgment. How would that work, and how can we create such a space?
So, again, that's why I do the self love first.
Mm-hmm.
When you connect with what love truly is, when you understand that love is just a pure essence, a pure energy, and you can connect to it at any time, and you can become one with that pure energy. So it's you and love as one entity together.
Mm-hmm.
Then you're able to let go of so much judgments, conditions, boundaries. A lot of these words that we use are nothing but walls. And again, love by its very nature is absolutely unconditional. It's a
Mm-hmm.
bird. It likes to fly free, and it's going to no matter what. And when we connect with that idea, we are able to allow our partners to be who they are.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I don't have any expectations for my wife whatsoever.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely none. Judgments, expectations, conditions, these are all the same words, just used in different ways. And so I just allow her to be who she is. She has absolute freedom. And it comes from that place of I don't expect her to keep the house clean. I don't expect her to have meals cooked when I get home.
Mm-hmm.
She doesn't I mean, I'm home now for 10 days, and it's like almost a 10-day vacation while she's at work. She doesn't expect me to keep the house clean or to have dinner ready when she walks in.
Mm-hmm.
We both are pleasantly surprised when these things occur because there's zero expectation.
Mm-hmm.
And there's no judgment. Because there's no expectation, there's no judgment if it doesn't get done, right?
In this
There's
case,
no, well, I'm the man of the house and I make all the money and I expect these things to get done. That's a really good way to be upset.
in the that's putting people in roles without asking them if she or if he even wants to take on this role, which is actually putting a person down as well. It's kind of toxic behavior, actually.
Exactly. But even the roles that she does voluntarily take on,
Mm-hmm.
because she said, this is what I'll do.
Mm-hmm.
I don't even judge that if it doesn't get done.
Have you ever stayed hungry because there was no food at home?
Well, I mean, let's face it. I'm a grown man. I know how to cook. I know how to get myself something to eat. Right. And this kind of brings in this idea, again, some more old fashioned relationship advice is relationships are supposed to be 50-50. And in more modern times, we say, no, 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 no. Relationships are supposed to be 100-100. Well, guess what? There's times when her day is absolute garbage It started bad when she woke up, and it just got worse as it went through. And by the time she gets home, she doesn't want to do a damn thing because she's mentally completely drained.
Mm-hmm.
And if I have an expectation of her doing something at that point, I'm going to be sorely upset because she's
Uh-huh.
just absolutely not capable of doing it in
Mm-hmm.
that moment. So that's what I mean of allowing them to be whatever they are.
Yeah.
It's understanding that love just gives. That's another bullshit old adage of love is give and take. I don't
Mm-hmm.
take anything from my wife. I don't need to. I'm capable of doing whatever needs to be done by myself.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, she's my helpmate. She's my partner. She's my wife. We're
Oh.
supposed to be in this together. But guess what? There's some days she just can't.
And if she accepted as well, there are some days you just can't, and then it's give and take again. Oh.
Well, it's give and give,
Yeah, give and give in this case. Yeah.
or
Mm-hmm.
give and
Oh.
receive.
Mm-hmm.
And the
Oh.
days where I'm in a bad mood, where I'm super tired, where I
Mm-hmm.
just can't, she gladly picks up the slack. She gladly does whatever needs to be
Mm-hmm.
done. She takes care of me, and she's there 100%. I
And,
don't have to ask for it. I don't have to judge if it's not done. I don't have to expect it.
and to be honest, even if both are down and have a bad day together, you can still call some service to bring food or leave the house dirty for a week. No one is dying from that neither. So
Right.
that's just routines. And I have the feeling in a lot of my relationships that routines were the killer thing, because you had to expect that this is done then and then this is done on another place, which isn't really helpful. As you told, if she is feeling down or I'm feeling down already, why should we put a routine on it on top
Right.
and make things better?
And that's why I don't like that 100% idea, because I believe that any percentage in a relationship is going to lead to judgment when it's not done.
Mm-hmm.
Because my 100% today isn't going to be anywhere near my 100% tomorrow.
Oh,
My 50% today might be my 100% tomorrow,
oh,
right? I mean, life happens. We
mm-hmm.
know this. We accept it. Love is all about accepting and allowing. So I don't try to change my wife. I don't try to make her into a better person. I simply allow her to be who she is and accept every bit of that about her.
Mm-hmm.
And when I do that, that's what creates that space where we can share thoughts without judgment. We can
That's
talk about
oh,
past relationships. I can talk about my ex-wife all day long.
mm-hmm.
And Sarah, my current wife, doesn't get upset about it because
Good.
she knows that I'm processing myself in those
Mm-hmm.
memories. And she knows where my heart is because it's with her 100%.
Oh,
So that's how we get to that space. Again,
mm-hmm.
when you love yourself deeply, you're able to be open and honest.
Sure.
Openness and honesty is the secret to communication.
Mm-hmm.
I've actually got an acronym for that. It's all communication should be hot, honest, open, and two-way, which
Uh,
brings in that, listening to understand and everything else.
you wrote that earlier in the group a few weeks ago. I don't know which topic it was, which topic of the week it was, but I loved your acronym. It was was really nice. The hot communication. Cool. Let's jump into the next comment from Jeffrey B. Basickers. He brought in interesting perspective to to the conversations, which I think fits well with yours. He wrote surrender. He wrote a long post, so I just shortened it down to some assets. Surrender the need of expectation and validation. Ultimately, understand that Guinean trust is rooted in self-security rather than mirrored in the actions of another. Is that your opinion?
I absolutely loved everything he said in there because
Uh,
that is absolutely the truth. Just in the nature of the words that he used, surrender. That's what love is, complete surrender. It's giving yourself completely over to your partner. And yeah, that's scary as hell if you don't first love yourself so you know who you are. When you know exactly who you are, it's easy to just open up wide and say, come on in, the water's fine. And so that's that idea of surrender. And a lot of people cannot stand that word today because they think they're going to lose themselves if they surrender everything. But the whole point of being in a relationship is to connect on the deepest level and become one spirit. That really is the goal here. And if you always withhold, if there's always a firewall, you can't connect. So we have to understand the idea of complete surrender. That makes, I mean, when you fully give in everything to your partner and they do the same, I mean, it's obviously it has to be reciprocal. You're able to just mesh and truly become one. And I'll use the example for this word surrender. It's like if you've ever seen, you know, the astronauts on the space station or whatnot, they squeeze a little bit of water out of their tubes, you know, and it just sits there and it floats around in a perfect sphere. And when one drop of water bumps into another drop of water, they don't flatten out so that you see this drop and you see this drop and there's this dividing line down the middle. When they bump into each other, they go whoop.
It's one.
And there's no distinguishing one drop from the other, even if you color them with food coloring. When they come together, they're going to swirl and mix, and whatever those two colors combine to, you're not going to be able to distinguish one drop from the other. That's what a relationship is supposed to be. And so this idea of surrender is how you get there. So I love that first. And then, of course, we've talked about expectations. Validation is another thing. I remember when I went to UPW, you know, Tony has you do the 6 human needs, and he takes you through an exercise where you rate what your biggest need is. And if your biggest need is a couple of them, then usually you've got some problems. Well, mine was significance. I used to feel just absolutely amazing when people were praising me, and I felt like complete garbage if they weren't. And so, I mean, my emotions would be up and down depending on if somebody was happy with me or upset with me. And it was torture. And then one day I got to a place of understanding, and it was actually, I got off a coaching call and I was like, wow, that was incredible. I did that. I created that. I co-created that with my client, but we had an amazing coaching session. And in that moment, I realized I just gave myself all of the significance I would ever need.
Yes.
And that was so freeing, because then I had more than I ever needed. And because I got to that place, I got more than I ever got before in my life. Right? So when we learn to validate ourselves through loving ourselves, we get to a place where we don't need any validation.
Extra one.
And that's the one of the secrets of being in a relationship is not needing anything, not needing the relationship. And so when you don't need anything, it gives you ultimate freedom for things to just be what they are. And that's where that trust comes from. When you fully surrender and you can open up and you do become one, there's no lack of trust. You know who you are and you know who your partner is because you feel it on a deep level. Like I said, those water drops, when they come together, there's no distinguishing. And another way I tell it is when my wife and I met, we were 2 water bottles full. We poured our water into a big pitcher. We swirled it around to where there's no distinguishing whose water is what water. And because we still live in this 3D world, we poured the water back into our 2 bottles. So here's my body, my bottle, and her body, her bottle. Inside both of those is her water and my water. I don't know which one is which. It's not like the left side is mine and the right side. I don't make those distinguishing divisions, because I just know that in here, everywhere, is
It's
her.
ours. Hmm.
And I feel her presence every time I do anything.
Hmm.
And because I feel her presence with me, like I said, her heart is right next to mine. There's nothing to not trust.
Hmm.
It's always there. And so, just like he was saying here, it's mirrored in the actions.
Hmm.
There's no, I do what I would do anyway, and I know that she's with me experiencing that. As a matter of fact, because she and I have had this conversation before, I know she's been at work smiling, grinning from ear to ear for no reason at all, thinking about me simply because you and I have been talking about her.
Oh.
We've had that conversation, and it happens
Hmm.
on a regular basis because obviously I love to talk about my wife. And she just smiles and gets giddy. Matter of fact, I was explaining this one time to a client I was working with,
Hmm.
and my wife happened to text in that moment, which actually she did text about 16 minutes ago. So this is how we know that this is the level of connection you can get to when you surrender, when you let go of expectations, when you just
Hmm.
let it be. And that's when communication gets so easy.
Can I? We have quite a few viewers today. Can I ask you one of the questions of the audience?
Absolutely.
Cool. Then I will show this question. So, how would you help or bring up your partner that she starts is having a bad vice like drinking or smoking? How would you treat a behavior like that?
Those behaviors, it depends on the level of your relationship.
Hmm.
If you're just starting dating and you bring it up and you say, hey, look, I really like you a lot, but I can't do the drinking or the smoking. It's not a part of my world.
Hmm.
If they voluntarily will change, great. If they won't, then it's time to move on.
Hmm.
If you're in a marriage and you've got a partner that's drinking or smoking, again, here's here's where that self-love really kicks in. You've got to accept them fully as they are.
Hmm.
I mean, if that's a deal breaker, then you're going to have to look at ways of moving on. The key factor here, the only person in the world that we can ever truly affect change in is ourselves. And we all know that. I mean, we've been here for a while.
Hmm.
And if that's, I mean, obviously they've had that bad vice for a while. Maybe
Hmm.
it wasn't as bad when you first got together. Maybe it's gotten worse because of the economy, the job situation, COVID. I mean, there's any number of things that could
Yeah.
cause those things to get worse, obviously. But the thing is, vices are usually evidence of disconnection.
Hmm.
So it's simply seeking more ways to connect on a deeper level,
Hmm.
on a non judgmental level. And again, it's purely accepting where your partner is and what they're going through, honoring
Hmm.
that, and then seeing ways that you can be there for them. You know,
Is is this technique where you ask questions to understand why she behaves like this? Is this something you would advise to ask her? Yeah, hi, my dear. I realized that you lately are smoking more. That you asked for the reasons behind it. Would this be a strategy as well?
well, I mean, you can always ask, of course,
Hmm.
judge whether or not that's a good time to do. I mean, you know your partner,
Hmm.
you know if they've just come home from work, sat down and lit up a cigarette, it's probably not a good time to talk, right?
Yes.
Because they're trying to de-stress in that moment. That's why
Hmm.
they're, I mean, we know that's why they're smoking,
Hmm.
right? So it's one of those, when it's quiet and calm and everything's cool, you go, babe, I've noticed you're smoking a lot more than you used to. Are,
Hmm.
are you okay? Really? Because I'm concerned. I want to help you if I can. I'm concerned for you, because I know this isn't really healthy and this is a change in your behavior. So what's going on?
Hmm.
And then again, you got to have that open, honest space. You got to know that whatever they, I mean, And here's where that trust factor comes in.
Mm-hmm.
Especially, and I've seen a lot more of this for the men than for the ladies, because it, again, is a different dynamic.
Mm-hmm.
But ladies, when a man does open up to you and says, well, this is what's going on and it's really affecting me, you cannot use any of that information against him at a later date if you ever want him to open up to you ever again.
Mm-hmm.
Because the moment you use any information that he tells you in those moments against him, it closes like a trap door. It is not going to open again.
Is it the worst trust thing you can do to use the information against the other person?
Right.
I get this point. Brandt, I think we got an understanding for this questions. Do you have the time that we can take one more question from the audience?
Sure.
I have one more interesting one. What do you do when your life work against your will? How to make her understand? So basically, you have a really shit time in the moment. How do you make her understand that it's not your true self in the moment?
That is a great question. And the first part of it is understanding that life never works against you.
Mm-hmm.
The only thing that's ever working against us is our own thoughts. I say all the time that this is the most dangerous and deadly 6 inches in the entire universe. That's space between our ears. Mm-hmm. The way that we think and feel about things is always the way that we create our world. Mm-hmm. And so if we've got something that we think the world is against us, then it's a belief. Mm-hmm. It's something deep internal that is working against us. I mean, before I got into coaching, I used to always say that I was my own worst enemy, because things would be going great, and then I knew that instinctively I was going to do something to screw it all up.
Oh.
Right. That was all me. And when I changed it around to I'm my own best friend and life is always working for my greatest good. Mm-hmm. Now, that doesn't mean that I'm not going to have hardships. I can still get a flat tire when I was supposed to have been at the meeting 5 minutes ago. Mm-hmm. You know? But I understand that there's a reason why I got that flat tire. Maybe because 5 miles up the road, there was a 20-car pileup, and me having the flat tire kept me out of the 20-car pileup so that I'm safe, and I just make it to the meeting late. And when I get there, they're like, oh, well, we didn't know if you were going to make it at all. We thought you got in that 20-car pileup. And you're like, whew, thank goodness I had that flat tire. You know, so that's the first part of it. And then how do you make your partner understand? You can't. You can offer some explanations, but they've got to be genuine, heartfelt explanations. And they have to come from a place of you not judging yourself or not judging them if they don't understand. Mm-hmm. I mean, it really comes down to how much do you love yourself? How much are you going to accept and allow about yourself and about your partner? It's got to be from a place of complete openness and honesty. Mm-hmm. And when you explain, I've got this going on, I've got this going on, I've got this going on, and I just don't know what to do.
For me, there's also something in between these two questions. Something bad happens to me, and how to make her understand that I behave different towards her. So there's something in there, because if life works against me, it looks like that I put it in an emotional way, some sort, like I'm arguing more with her. So I put the bad things which happens to me in her direction somehow. I assume from the question as well. Because if I accept that bad things might happen and I still love myself and still I'm okay because it was just a bad day, then I actually don't bring these negative thoughts to her. And then I don't need her to understand, because she doesn't really even notice that something bad happened to me, because I just accepted that stuff can happen and that I have to cope with it because it's part of life.
And now, and that doesn't mean that you've got to figure it out before you walk in the door. Mm-hmm. All right. again, when you get to the place of the deep connection,
Mhm.
my wife is absolutely my peace. I don't care what's going on outside that front door. I mean, the world could absolutely be turning to complete shit, full zombie apocalypse. I mean, everything.
Mhm.
War, famine, strife, everything. The minute I walk in my front door and I'm in my wife's presence, my soul, my spirit, everything about me goes shoo, because she is absolutely my peace.
Mhm.
And if I am overwhelmed, overloaded, completely frustrated when I walk in the door, one, she's going to feel it. She's going to know it.
Mhm.
But two, the first thing I do is I go give her a hug, and she's going to feel it when I give her a hug, and she's going to like, okay, what's wrong?
Mhm.
And I know because she's my peace, it's a place to just go, oh, today was absolute shit.
Your safe place.
And
Sa-
she will
uh,
like, okay, I get it. What do you need from me?
mhm.
And sometimes, guys, admit it, we just need to be held like little boys right between the boobs. I mean, let's be honest. That's where we want to be anyway.
Mhm.
Sometimes that's all we need.
Mhm.
And even as
To
a big, powerful, manly man, sometimes we just need to be held like a little boy.
Mhm.
And if we're open and honest and truthful and all of those things that we've talked about today, there's no judgments about it. She's going to be there for you. You're not going to have to make her understand.
Mhm.
But it all starts with, how do I feel about me?
Mhm. Cool. Amazing, Brent. Yeah, cool. And really, really thank you that you were willing to answer the extra questions. Cool. That's great. And thank you all also to all our viewers for asking questions, because that makes it more interesting. And I think there were amazing, really, really well fitting questions as well. I got one more comment. Let's have a look for it. Good explanation. You have a few excellent advice. Nice potential sessions, a positive atmosphere from the audience, Brandt. You did a great job. I have one question which is related to my project, which is not focused on relationships. How important do you think is the continuous and structured effort to build stable friendships and relationships?
Well, I mean, obviously, life is all about relationships.
Mhm.
I mean, whether it's parental relationships, parent child relationships, friends, family, coworkers, it
Mhm.
doesn't matter. It's all the same stuff. I mean, we're designed to be connected.
Mhm.
It's ingrained. It's being a part of the tribe is our um, genetic inheritance, so to speak. So yeah, it's always important, highly important, to
Mhm.
foster friendships and connections and to really dive deep into them.
Oh.
And when, again, when you really love yourself, all of that gets easy. It really does. Um, One thing I do, and this is just out of the blue kind of thing, but it killed me for COVID because it wasn't really an option. But when I'm out and about and I'm, doing my shopping or going
Mhm.
about my business, when I run across somebody that I can just tell is having a bad day, you can feel that energy when
Mhm.
you connect with it. I will just walk up and go, excuse me, I know this is weird, just out of the blue, but you look like you could really use a hug. Would you like me to give you a hug? And out of all the times that I've ever done that, I've never had anybody go, ew, no, get away, creeper. Everyone has said, oh my God,
Mm.
yes, that would be amazing. And as soon as I wrap my arms around them and I wrap up and give them a big old bear hug, I don't mess around. Every person I've ever done that with has just like melted into my arms when I give them that hug.
Oh.
That's how important connection is in
Mhm.
even in our modern world when we're told that we have to be so disconnected.
Mhm.
So yeah, friendships, huge.
Who's topic? Cool. It was amazing to have you in the live stream today, Brent. Thank you so much for joining the discussion. I'm looking forward to read more from you because you're an active poster in our group as well. You're joining most of the discussion. Thank you for that as well. I actually I tried to make you a group expert, but it didn't work. I think I sent you a group expert request a few weeks or even months ago. Maybe look up your status in the group that you can accept it if you want it.
I'll
Would
check
be
it out.
great. And thank you all for visitors joining us as well. It was over an hour. Amazing. The time was rushing by really, and we have still 5 people in the session watching us. Thank you all for joining, for asking your questions. I hope you took maybe 1 or 2 ideas back home. How to love yourself. I think that's something Brandt is teaching in his life coaching. So write him a message, follow his group as well, so you can get in touch with him if you like. See you again in our group Friendship Skill 4.0 for this digital age. All the best. Have a nice day. And yeah, Brandt, if you stay in the group for 2 more minutes, and then I'll ask you my questions about Houston, which we haven't done before. Have fun, guys. Thank you.